being lazy. Mr. Daniel Keller and Davey Wittick from Flux on February 1st had a long live stream. I'm going to show you guys a couple of the interesting parts from it that I found. I think I have the timestamps in my head. We'll go over it. But essentially, the big one is going to be actual partnership with NVIDIA. Previously, they announced the partnership. Like most people pointed out, I think to be fair, it wasn't a true partnership. They even admitted that in this particular segment. Now, supposedly, it's going into full partnership. They're going to have NVIDIA on tap for help with development, etc., and access to different tools, all of that sort of thing. A lot of people excited about this one.
Backup internet, and it is satellite. Okay, anyway, my ADD is totally kicking in. I'm too excited. Okay, so Davey, without further ado, let's walk everyone through so nobody leaves this live stream without an understanding of what we are doing and why this is massive, okay? So take the next 10 minutes. Stop what you're doing.
Let's get to him talking. So it's right here.
Now, that doesn't mean they're out there somewhere that they don't work with them. But what does this mean to us? Davey, go ahead and get it to him.
So, I mean, and that's a good point, B-More. One of my biggest gripes with Flux, and we'll just put... Flux is a company. It's not a blockchain. At the end of the day, that's how I feel about it. Flux has cool technology as a company, but they are not fully as open and open source as I would like to see, right?
Because I see a lot of questions, right? What does this mean? What level? What this and that? Okay, so we are an NPN partner. So what does that mean?
Basically, that means Davey.
I'll go through this presentation. So basically, we're going to go through the presentation here. So you know what the partnership is all about. And then if there's any questions still left, I'll answer them gladly. No issue. A little bit of a backstory. We did graduate from the Inception partner.
So it was Inception partner, yeah.
November, December 2023. So I went back to NVIDIA and said, okay, what does that mean for us? And they're like, yeah, you're no longer part of the Inception partner program. I'm like,
I'm checking out io.net, Alice. You were talking about basically the whole idea of mining on your dime BS. I mean, that's true. Most of it is still mining. I've heard a lot less from, you know, Vast AI, for example, now. Salad's doing it a little bit less. I don't really like the payout methods of Salad. I know you can get paid out in PayPal, but then you're going to run into the issues of, you know, the IRS coming at you for getting more than $600. Salad really isn't a scalable operation, from a mining perspective. It's not like something you can really scale up and go, at least from my perspective. I think if you want something scalable that is basically being utilized for AI models a majority of the time, and you don't want to cut a specific partnership and go through the whole seeding phase, or, you know, all that, well, that would be for going public fully, but go through the whole phase of spinning up a data center, building that all out yourself in a massive one. If you just want to have, like, I want to provide some rigs from the house, DIY style, that sort of thing. I mean, Vast AI, we'll see where io.net goes. I've reached out to them to see if I can get in on that program. And then, obviously, there's Chlor AI. I don't think that gets utilized really for anything but mining crypto, though.
That's great. Now what? And they're like, well, now we can potentially start talking partnership. So
am I behind hacking Richard Hart? No. Is he getting hacked right now?
Hell no. Yeah, let's do it. This is interesting. So what is this? And what's the benefits for us? What's the benefits for NVIDIA?
I think a really important thing to note here is the announcement of this partnership from NVIDIA, where it went from a hell no with a crypto company, Flux, to a yes, let's do it, is indicative of the lightening of regulatory issues in the United States surrounding cryptocurrency. I think that's a bullish signal from a regulatory perspective.
What's the benefits for Flux itself, the coin? And to make sure everybody's on the same page, this is a partnership between NVIDIA and Influx, and we're going to be leveraging all the Flux technologies that we've built out over the last few years. So we're going to focus basically on anything AI, anything compute going forward, and we're going to basically help build out NVIDIA their decentralized offering as well. So how this is all going to go? Let's take one step back. I want to talk about the benefits for NVIDIA actually for a second here as well, before we go into the benefits for Flux and Influx. Basically, NVIDIA is going to, and all its customers are basically going to leverage our technology where we basically have our decentralized infrastructure.
Hey, Davey, I think we have a slide with all this information on it.
Yeah, I think he had it right here.
The growth and developer traction.
So he just goes through and reads this for you guys, and maybe my voice will be a little bit more clear, so I'll just read it for you guys. He didn't necessarily have a fantastic mic like Daniel has there, so the benefits are going to be technical optimization, innovation, credibility, and market positioning, ecosystem growth and developer attraction, strategic access to cutting-edge technology. I think that's going to be extremely important. I think they mentioned that there's another partnership here that we're going to talk about in relation to access to technology for the platform, but scaling enterprise adoption. You know, as a systems engineer, I don't know how viable necessarily enterprise adoption with anything tied to blockchain really actually is at this point. Unless it's like a newer company and maybe in the AI space, I could see that. But traditional infrastructure, you know, you still can't get a lot of people to even move over to AMD, even though Intel processors have those vulnerabilities. You try to go and be like, hey, there's a newer, better thing, and you know, they won't make that switch for either 10 years or something ridiculous, or if something actually breaks and then they're like, oh, you were right. Those are like the only two just in that space in general. And so like going up and being like, hey, I want to propose utilizing the blockchain for decentralized infrastructure. Like, I don't see that ever passing a board of directors in any traditional sense ever, but maybe I could be wrong.
So what that means is basically we get now, like I said, we got access to a lot of other folks.
You can barely get people to move to AWS and Azure from a security, like mainly from security perspective concerns, right? Like that's already difficult.
Now, within NVIDIA, but we'll also be building out our Flux Edge, our Flux Cloud solutions, and so we're going to have.
Oh yeah, so I was reading these. So competitive edge in decentralized space, revenue growth. I think that's obviously going to be important. Education and training, strengthen go-to-market strategies, and synergy with the Flux blockchain, which I assume is going to be like payment systems, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully this will be good for both NVIDIA and Flux as well. And so I guess the benefits to NVIDIA is they are going to give them access to their decentralized technologies. And then I think the others like market expansion, NVIDIA is not going to benefit much there. Proof of concept for enterprise decentralization. This is bullish, I think, for cryptocurrency in general. I mean, so I'm just talking about convincing people to move to decentralized infrastructure. And if we actually want that to be a thing in the future, then these are the types of things that have to happen for that to happen. So I'll go back and slap myself and say, just look at the next slide. That is going to eventually lead to that. I just don't think the timeline's like tomorrow, right? I'm not saying go buy Flux now because it's going to blow through the roof and be the same price as NVIDIA. You know, that's not what we're really looking at here. Diversification, not really worried about that. As far as the partner program, they're going to get access to products and technology, training, sales, service support, marketing, and business partnerships. All pretty standard stuff. And as far as their big announcement that I was interested in is going to be their other partnership, which is with Next Gen Cloud and Hyperstack. So that's going to be to deploy Blackwell GPUs and access to enterprise grade GPUs for their decentralized infrastructure, which is going to be good for them, you know, obviously getting AI companies to utilize their platform, which I think at the end of the day is the goal. What kind of access does that get? You know, this is going the same direction that I think a lot of these projects have, like what Power GPU, Power Meta, like all these Clore, all of these projects have gone away from the DIY miner, like you and me and the guys with like the home lab, and really, and this is basically because they need a competitive advantage in the market, right? This partnership is exciting for Flux, terrible for anyone trying to be competitive with Flux nodes, right? And all that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, they're going to be having competitive prices for more powerful hardware than you have, like L40s, H100s, A100s. And the large AI companies are going to go with those because they'll be verified partners. They'll have, you know, actual data center infrastructure with redundancy, all that sort of stuff. And then the individual that's trying to DIY home do it is not going to have that same competitive edge. Now, are there going to be different tiers, levels, all that sort of stuff? Yeah, I'm sure that it will be there. It's just something that I've noticed, like Clore AI kind of did it. Somebody mentioned in chat earlier, you know, we're starting to see that move, I think, in the Flux space as well, more towards, you know, these partnerships with large data centers, all that sort of stuff. And the DIY guy that wants to provide, you know, processing node or whatever it may be, it just isn't going to be able to be competitive in any of those markets anymore, because it's going to drive the price down so much, right? Which is, you know, the same thing that happened with Bitcoin mining as well, right? So, I'm really curious at what point or where, how I put it, where at what point we find the next, I can buy a GPU or a CPU or whatever it may be, and I can start building an asset class, where that opportunity arises. Like, obviously, like we have the big plays like speculative mining stuff. We'll still be able to mine to a certain extent, but will it be to the level of 2016 through 2020 cycles? I don't know. Probably not, especially with, you know, blockchain really kind of, it is moving more centralized at the end of the day. All the platforms are. It's moving proof of stake, centralized control, large mining farms, rich investors pushing the regular guy out left and right. And it's like it's just like what happened with the internet. It's no different, right? A few people come out on top, and that's kind of where we end up. Doesn't mean there's not opportunity. It just means the barrier to entry increases astronomically, right? I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.